Hey, good morning. It's 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. Hope you're doing well. It is Monday. We only have 2 more days left in the 2019 year. It's pretty amazing, right? The whole year's gone by, and we're going to a new year, start reflecting. Um, and by the way, this is 5 a.m. Mester Scrum, where we talk about Agile and Scrum in a tactical and practical way to get you home to family and friends so that you can also help make money for your business, grow your business, help your customers, help your own personal business if you like, and do it with less stress and balance work and life together and have some fun along the way. And this is episode 161. I think I got all the podcasts caught up. They should be coming out. If they didn't come out last night, they'll come out some more today because I want to inundate everyone with new podcasts. And they're on their way. The software's still messed up, so I have to download all the files, convert the files, and then put it up until I find a new piece of software, which is a shame. It was really easy to use. But it goes to having backups and backup plans, right? And we're going to talk about that today too. So I'm going to talk about two things today. I'm going to talk about teams and having some depth. Watching the Eagles game yesterday and made me reflect on why you don't want to go one deep, right? And continue on. And then I was watching Future. They put out a new one. It's one of the UX broadcasters I link to. I link to other channels. I share the stuff. I'm not worried about not sharing who I share with and what channels on our YouTube channel that I link up to. And I like listening to different perspectives on things and how does it apply to Agile and how does it apply to what I do and maybe what you do and share that information. And they ask some questions. There's a couple, how long you ask questions is questions enough. But they had two questions, and I want to bring them to you for the new year when you do Agile transformation. So, first thing I want to talk about is having alternate people. I know the Giants fans and the Dallas fans and the other teams aren't going to, I don't want to hear about the Eagles. But it was really interesting because we talk about this in Agile and Scrum. I talk about all this all the time. Do you want to be the one bottleneck that if you go down or you go on vacation, your team can't produce nothing? I mean, that makes absolutely no sense. Or design organization, kind of like the conversation we had last week about, taking people to the work versus work to the people. When you take people to the work, they're one deep. That tells me you're one deep on that team to understand what to do on their work. And I tell you, it's not a good plan for doing this for so long. I mean, it's so risk. You're programming risk into your design, but we're not going to go talk about that. I could go on a rant a little long. But watch the Eagles team. Now, not to say they were the greatest team, and they're not doing that, I mean, they pulled out a win yesterday. But what was interesting, I think they said a stat, all the receivers that Wentz was throwing to, none of them were on the starting team at the beginning of the year. His entire receiving core is beat up and on the sidelines hurt with something broken or something, right? So every one of the receivers was a backup. They caught it from the practice team, whatever. But they kept going and they actually won the game, right? So just because they didn't have like what's his Ertz is his best receiver. He was out. The other tight ends and the other ends picked up the slack and did the work and they got finished and they go into the playoffs, right? So if the Eagles can do it and just make it through, why can't your team do it, right? I mean, there's no reason. And you can see from the way they have it set up, that makes sense, right? You don't want to bring people to the work. You want to bring work to the people so that there's more one person can work on that if anything ever happens. And stuff does happen. I mean, I know we're not playing football. We're not playing rugby. We're not going like, I'm going to hit you like I used to, right? We're not playing rugby. But people leave, people come and go. You build an organization to function with or without people. Why would you build it on teams that have one deep or bring in people to the work rather than the work to the people? You want to be able to do more than one capability. So it just makes total sense. So it was just a good example yesterday of watching them win and going to the playoffs, right? They got to the point where they're going to playoffs. And none of the receivers were the receivers they started from the beginning of the year. So just wanted to share that with you, something to think about, a different way of looking at it, right? And plus it's football season, why not? And the whole season's coming up. So think about that. Now, the other one I want to talk about, just because it is the new year, one of the things I do, I know I'll write tomorrow. I do my budgeting and look at stuff and things like that. But I'm going to stay focused. Be hard. I'm going to stay focused. Asking questions. I'm always coaching people. It's okay to ask questions. If they get upset, they get upset. But there's nothing wrong with the question, right? It's like no question is stupid. I ask lots of questions myself. I always do. And the future video I saw on YouTube, they were talking about asking questions, and they'll spend an hour and a half with the customer trying to find out, understand what they want. And then, but these are big $1 billion customers. Then they said, okay, yeah, you got small customers. They're not, hundreds of $1,000s contract. We're spending an hour and a half is worth it, right? But you know what? I think it's funny. Now I just love a different one. So they would say people complain, and it's 170,000. Yeah, I know they're spending millions of dollars on stuff, and you're not going to spend a day going through the work and planning what you're going to spend $1 million on. People complain about PI planning or business doesn't want to be there, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, you're spending $1 million. You don't want to spend one whole day trying to figure this out and lay it all out so that your $1 million is spent effectively? Really? I personally would fire everybody. That was my money, and you didn't want to do it right. Make sure we're going well, and take some time in the beginning to make sure you're doing it right. I'd have a lot of concerns about the organization. Anyway, because you're stewards for other people's money, by the way. So that's when you have a company. It's not really your money; it's everybody else's money. Well, it is your money. You're stewards of your own money, and you want to make sure it's done, and people spend an amount of time. But when you work for a company, it's their money and the investor's money. But anyway, 3 questions, right? 2 of them I like. The third one's more a consulting gig question. But the first 2 apply to transformation. And it's something you got to think about when you're doing transformation. And the new year's coming, right? So you want to change. So here's these 2 questions. And I did really go off on a tangent a second ago. Why change? So why change your UX? Why change your brand? Why change whatever? So that's the first question. And the second question is, what happens if you do nothing, right? And I think we can apply that to Agile and Agile transformation. Why do you want to change your team around? Why do you want to split your team? Why do you want to do Agile? Why do you want to, do Kanban? Why do you want to do Scrum? Why do you want to do XP? Why do you want to do test-driven development? Why do you want to do automated tests? Ask that question, and then ask the question, what happens if I don't? Right? Because I notice a lot of people, they go, I don't want to change. I don't have time. I don't have. So what happens if you don't change? Do you get inundated? Do you get overrun? Do you work 80 hours a day? A week, or do what's going on? So I like those questions. Those are great because he said it came from a coach. So I really like those questions. He had a bunch of questions, but I like the question about, why change? And then what happens if you don't change? Because sometimes you really don't need to change. Some people, I got to change. Well, what's going to happen? Well, nothing. I just think everybody else needs to change, so I want to change it. But why do you really? And I think the real key is, why do you really need to change? And what a coach will help you do is figure out what's the real reason why you need to change. Like I had that question about they want to split a team. Well, why do you want to split a team? Oh, because the book says that you should not have more than 9 people. Screw the book. Book that doesn't mean nothing. What are you looking to get out of the change, right? Are you looking to get better communication between your team? Are you looking to get better response time? But half your team is scattered across the world and they don't talk to each other. So I don't think splitting your team, you're splitting this smaller groups, going to help. fix that problem because you're not on the same planet. You know, is splitting your team going to allow you to have just one depth and then you don't have the team like the Eagles and make it to the playoffs? Is that what you want? And then what if you don't change? So I have 20 people on my team. What happens if I don't change? Nothing. Or does it change? Or do you work on all the other things first, and then when you get all that together, then make the change? Right? Do you organize it, get it all working so they're all working together and they know how they're doing, and then you build your train that way, right? Then you get like a couple different teams. Maybe you get 3 teams working on a train to deliver a product. So you got 3 groups of people working on the same thing at the same time, if that's what you're looking to get, right? But what's the goal for the change? And since it's coming up the new year, I thought that was a good question. Anyway, it's Monday and almost end of the year. So I'm just going to say thank you. Have a happy day. Happy scrumming. Got a couple days left in the new year. I want to do some TikTok videos with some mummers that go down our street on New Year's Day and share that with you. Maybe some fun, right? Get some time off. And I hope you're all having fun. Hope you got to spend some time with your family and friends. And have a great day. All right. Take care. Happy scrumming. Think about what you're going to do in 2020 and why change and what happens if you don't change. I really like those 2 questions. I don't know if I would do that. Maybe you said, yeah, you can do it. You can flip around too. Anyway, take care. See ya. Bye. Bye-bye.